Girls, this is Miss Bryant back again. Today we are going to talk about some strategies to help us recognize the size of our problem, and we're going to discuss what are some appropriate reactions to some of our problems. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, so we're going to talk about a thinking strategy, size of the problem, and matching our reactions to the problem. Okay, so let's think about, what if we had a problem of just spilling a simple glass of milk? Do you think an appropriate reaction would be that we would just instantly break down and cry, scream, yell, ask for help? Probably not. But what if we saw that a forest was on fire? Our reaction would probably be like the little girl in the picture. We would probably be shocked, probably screaming for help. So if you look at this picture, it's a much bigger problem. So we're going to have a much larger reaction to the problem. Okay, let's look at our size of the problem chart. If you notice at the very bottom, we start with number 1, which is just a tiny problem. Those are problems in which that we can fix ourselves with little or no help, and we may not even have a reaction to those problems. Okay, if we look at number 2, the problem gets a little bit bigger. And so for number 2, those are little problems. Those are problems that you can solve yourself again, and you may have maybe a little reaction to these problems, but not a big deal. Next, we go to number 3, which is kind of a medium problem. So we're getting a little bit bigger. A medium problem, those can be tricky. You may be able to solve those yourself. You may need some help. The orange color, number 4, is a bigger problem. You see how we're steadily climbing up those stairs as our problem increases. For number 4 problem, those are also tricky problems. You're probably going to need some help to solve a level 4 problem. And then we have number 5. Number 5 is a huge problem. It's in red, and those are our emergency problems. Those are problems which we probably need to solve quickly, and we're probably going to need some help if we have a red problem. So let's look at some reactions we might have to these different problems. Okay. Number 1, sometimes we call that a glitch problem. Some examples may be losing a game, not getting the pencil you wanted out of the pencil box, or maybe being 2 or 3 minutes late to your basketball practice. For those glitches, we're usually okay with those. We usually stay calm, content. We're fine with it. It's not a big deal. Okay, then we go to number 2. A sample problem number 2 would be maybe you forgot your homework or your homework folder. You may have lost your pencil, or you may have difficulty deciding what to do on the playground for recess. And those are little problems. Those are problems that you can solve on your own. Some reactions, you might be unhappy that you can't find your pencil or can't find your homework. You might be disappointed, annoyed, or you may even be embarrassed. But once again, those are some little problems. Those are some problems we shouldn't be yelling and screaming or asking for help with these. These are some problems we are going to be able to solve on our own. Next, we have number 3, which is in the yellow, a medium problem. And a medium problem could just be a small accident. Okay, it could be Also, a problem that maybe you're feeling a little sick. Some reactions, we might be worried about being sick or worried about the accident we had. You could be frustrated, you could be exhausted, or you could even be hurt from a medium problem. And like I said, medium problems can be tricky. Sometimes you can solve those problems on your own, but like if you're hurt or maybe if you're not feeling well, excuse me, you're probably going to get some help from someone to help you with that problem. And as you notice, as we are going up, the problems are getting bigger. So when we went from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, from small to medium, our problems are getting bigger. So now we're going to go to number 4, which is an orange colored problem, which is considered a big problem. Fighting, getting lost, someone getting hurt. Those are all big problems that we're going to need some help to solve. Some reactions from big problems include you can be upset. You may be scared. You may be mad, or you may be a little anxious. You may be kind of nervous about, especially if you're lost. So those are some appropriate reactions to a big problem. And last, we have number 5, which is the biggie, the biggest, the emergency. And with an emergency, remember, those are our red problems. Those are our serious problems that we're going to have to solve really quick or get some help really quick. Some example of emergency problems may be a tornado, fire, just any kind of danger or a serious injury. And some common acceptable reactions, you may feel enraged, which means you may be really mad that this is happening. You may be terrified. You may be really scared. You may feel hysterical where your thoughts are going everywhere. You may be crying. You may not be sure what to do. And you may even be angry during an emergency. These are all, excuse me, these are all common, acceptable reactions to an emergency. So here's a question for you. How do we figure out the size of our problems? We know how to identify that we do have a problem. So how do we figure out how big is our problem? And remember, the size of your problem should match the size of your reaction. So the first clue I want you to think about, how many people are affected? Is it just yourself? Is it a small group of people affected? Or could it be the whole community? So think about how many people are affected. Number 2, how difficult do you think the problem is to solve? Do you think it's going to be like easy, like putting pieces of puzzle together? Or second picture I have is a Rubik's Cube. I think it's going to take some thinking. You may need to get some help to solve it. So how difficult is the problem to solve? Clue 3, is the problem dangerous? For example, my first poster says, I lost the game. So if you lost the game, that's not a dangerous problem. That's probably going to be a very small problem, a level 1, level 2, something you're going to handle. You may be embarrassed that you lost the game. That would be appropriate. But remember, it's not going to last forever. That's something quick that you can handle. The second picture shows someone maybe got hurt in his soccer game. Now, that could be a serious problem. It's probably going to be at least medium, depending on the injury, or it could actually be a level 4. It could be a big problem, or if something's broken or something, it may even be a huge problem. So if you're getting hurt in a game, you're probably going to need some help to solve that problem. And last, we have a fire. Remember, a fire is our emergency problems. It's going to be red. That's something we need to get some help quick to help solve that problem. And how long would the problem last? Is it going to be simple, level 1 or 2, going to last a few minutes, an hour or so, we're going to move on? Or is it going to be a bigger problem, say you got hurt, something's going to have to heal, on your body, or if there's a fire, something may have to be rebuilt. So how long would the problem last? So those are some clues to help you figure out the size of the problem so you could have an appropriate reaction. Okay, so let's try. Let's see if you can guess the size of this problem and see if you can guess what will be an appropriate reaction. So I'm going to read it to you, and I want you to think as I'm reading. Someone is sitting behind you is humming. Someone sitting behind you is humming. Think about what level problem would that be, and what would be an appropriate reaction? I think that's a very small problem, probably a 1. And my reaction would probably be just to ignore it. Now, if it continued, then it could lead to maybe level 2 problem. But this is not going to be a huge problem, so there shouldn't be a huge reaction. So if someone's humming behind you, one thing you can do is ignore it. You can try that. Shouldn't be a big blow up. Okay, let's try problem 2. Problem 2 says, your friend started a rumor about you. And let's review what the word rumor might be. Remember, when someone tells a rumor about you, it's usually something that is not true about you. So, how would you handle that problem? And do you think it's a small problem, 1 or 2? Do you think it's a medium problem, a 3? A big problem, of 4? Or do you think it's a huge problem, of 5, an emergency? And I'll read one more time. Your friend started a rumor about you. It's going to be about a medium problem, I feel like. A reaction, you could turn to the person and you can ask them, hey, can we talk? That really hurt my feelings, what you said about me. So that's a problem that you could solve by talking to another person. Something you can solve yourself. Maybe a little tricky, but, and you can also, this might be a good time to use something we call an iMessage. Hey, I feel sad because what you said about me hurt my feelings. I wish you would stop. So that can also lead into another conversation between you and the other person. You can practice using your iMessages, letting people know how you feel. Okay, then there's one more. Okay, problem 3. Your friend fell off the play structure and can't walk. You think that's a small problem, medium problem, or a big problem, or an emergency? What do you think about that? Your friend fell off the play structure and can't walk. I think this is probably a huge problem. And my reaction may be, hey, she's hurt. We need help. And so you want to get someone to help you with that injury. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with 3 steps that can help you with determining the size of the problem and how to handle it. Okay, step 1 is name the problem. What is happening? What is bothering you? Okay, did you spill a glass of milk? Did you not get the colored game piece you wanted when you were playing Candyland? Did you lose your shoe? Okay, think about what is the problem. Okay, step 2, determine the size of the problem. How many people does it affect? Is it a dangerous problem? How long would it last? How hard is it to solve that problem? And the last one, think of a good solution. What would be the most helpful way to solve the problem? Do I need to get an adult's help? Do I need to ask my mom, my teacher, my counselor for help, my principal? And how should you react? Remember, our reactions should match our problem. So if it's something simple, if the problem's something simple, then our response should be something simple. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you've learned some different things to think about, some different strategies when it comes to identifying your problem and how to react. Remember, as always, if you need anything, please contact your counselor at your school or your teacher or your principal. I hope everyone has a great week. See you later. Bye-bye.